Oh, hi everyone. How are you? Um, it's a late Saturday night here in my world, and I've just been thinking about some things and I wanted to talk about them. I might make this one kind of like a half an hour one and then upload that and then go to another. I'm in the middle of a mountain of laundry because my kids came back from vacation and they had all that fun and they love to bring all their stuff back to mom to do all the laundry. So, a mom's work is just never done. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I mean, I think that baby wise is for the lazy asses because honestly, doing the true work of a mom, you work 24/7 and you do not put your kids behind doors for 15 hours out of a 24 day. The more I think about that, the more I'm upset about it. A couple of quick points. Somebody asked why I'm not going live with Mensa anymore. And I really like the way that she's stood up and, kind of created her own platform for people to go ahead and state their feelings. And I really liked talking with Mensa and Star Mama. And I know that in the beginning they both figured that I was a shiner because they both have been they've been burned. So they both thought that I was, and I went on my first live, and it took a little bit of time, and then I think that they both kind of understood that I'm not a shiner, that I'm just kind of, I was new to this case in speaking out about it. For a very long time, I was not comfortable with the narrative, but I was not seeing anybody else who was speaking out about it. So I started listening to Mensa, and I loved this chick named, why can't I think of it now? Honey Badger. There you go. Honey Badger. And she was just cracking me up. So one of the times I was on Mensa's channel, I think Hot Ham said I sound like Honey Badger's nicer, quieter sister or cousin or something. So that's kind of funny, right? And I was under a different name. I have a channel that I dedicate to trolling one horrible beast of a woman who abuses animals and defrauds the entire disability and welfare system and smiles and loves every minute of it. So she was having mentally challenged people send her their prescriptions, opioids, through the mail, and is still getting money and pills from them. So there's a few of us who have channels dedicated to exposing her. So I was under my other name, which is it's a little dig at her because she was, in her mind, she thinks she's the Real Housewife of, well, she was trying to stalk her first boyfriend because now he's a very successful businessman in California. And so in her mind, she was a Real Housewife of California, but she hailed from Boston, Brookline, namely. So my channel was named such as the real C word of Brookline. Had a little dig there. And so I was still under that channel. So I think maybe some of you will recognize me from that. And I was on with Mensa again one night, and we had a really good discussion. I know way too much about the escort business and how you could have became a very successful Craigslist hooker back in the day, or escort as the politically correct term is. I know just way too much about it. my sister was in the business, and I I really found it interesting, and I'm just a observer of people, and so I told Mensa all about that one night, and we had a really good discussion, and it led ultimately to where I have known that I have been doxxed and stalked from when I used to speak out on the Kyron Horman case, and kind of had a breakthrough. And Mensa remembered that she had written on the Kyron Horman subject, so she knew that she had done that, and she was like, "My God, is this where it kind of started?" So we bonded over that. I thought everything was fine, and we had planned a couple of things for me to talk about with her again on an episode. I unfortunately had a very difficult life situation happen, and I kind of was offline for about a month. And when I came back on, when I resurfaced, I was on Mensa's channel, and with my Tabitha Jane, and I was like mid-sentence, and all of a sudden my mic was muted, and I was blocked from StreamYard. So I was blocked from speaking and muted, and it hurt. I'm human. I don't understand. I was like, okay, was that just a fat finger thing, or did I say something wrong? I didn't really understand what happened, and I'm sensitive. I cried. I was like, what did I do wrong? And I sent a quick email like, hey, why did you block me? I'm really sorry, for whatever I did. And sent a couple of emails, and kind of, was supporting what I was saying. I guess I don't think I was saying anything controversial or anything like that, but there's been no response and nothing else. And I just don't know why she blocked me. I don't know. So on that note, I just still had a lot to say on a lot of things, and started my own channel. And I love how many other people are starting a channel. I started bantering with Bonita Barbie in other discussions, and that girl, like I say, she's prettier every time she's on. She's just growing prettier. She's in that age where you just grow prettier every day. You get to my age, and it's just freaking downhill from there. You get uglier every freaking day. And so she's in that phase where she just looks prettier every day, and she's out there in Hawaii, and she's really smart, and she's witty, and I adore that girl, and I adore her viewpoints. And we aren't sure if we agree with each other on what the F happened here. Nobody know. Well, okay, there are people who know, but they're not talking. And sadly, there are people who know what happened, and they are not ever going to be able to speak on what happened. With that being said, we owe it to those who are not here to understand what happened, to analyze it, because with education, analysis becomes understanding, and when understanding occurs, prevention and awareness occur. And so in the name of Bella and Cece, we can come together as like-minded individuals, no matter what we hypothesize happened that day. So many other things were going on that reached a fever pitch that were not okay, that were going on in that home. And to that end, I will continue to fight for the truth. And I welcome others to do the same. I think Bonita Barbie was saying that, to sub to my channel, and I want everybody to go to sub to her channel too. All of us should be subbing to each other's channel, because we all are not believing the basic narrative. We're not believing the generic crap they're feeding us. So please, I really support What's the Obsession. I love Kelly. I think that she may just be the nicest person on the planet. Neek's Peaks, like I say, they're freaking Hollywood level vignettes, and they just pack so much information in this little nugget. And what she says is backed up with facts and with the screenshots, or as the young ones call them, receipts, from SW's own words. And they're just absolute works of art. I have to watch them 2 and 3 times because I like to take notes and go through and look again. Remarkable work, Neek's Peaks. Justin, who can't just love Justin? He's a very introspective young man. He talks and he's insightful, and I saw him taking ownership for something that he was called out on, and he absolutely took responsibility for what he was called out on, and that's very rare to see in a young man. And while he will self-depreciate and say that, he's not educated, he's not that, he's every bit as educated as anybody ever needs to be. There are people who can go to 18 years of college and not be as insightful as that young man is. He's a gem. His wife should be very proud, because that's a good man and that's a good dad. And he's going to teach his kids good, and those kids have a good daddy. And my kids have amazing fathers, okay? I mean, honestly. If there's one gift you can give your children, if you can give them a good father, if you can give your daughters a daddy, you've given them more than anything you could ever dream of giving them. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that. And so with that, I wanted to run one piece of information. Well, let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Tell me if this theory fits for a moment. Ponder this. CW got out money from his retirement. We know that. I believe it was around 10,000. Okay. We know that it takes a significant life event to pull money from those accounts. One of those accounts could be a life change, like a divorce, okay? As far as anybody can tell, there is no proof of where that money went, anything, okay? One theory is that when CW and SW agreed that they were going to separate, CW gave SW that money to go and restart her life. Okay? So let's put this together. Let's say that she shared that pregnancy news, and we all know how awkward Chris looked. He was doing the what the fuck look, like, oh, oops, we did it again. Who did it with who? Because I wasn't doing it with you, ma'am. It was real weird, right? And he's like, oh, and of course she had the freaking camera going, right? And so he couldn't on camera go, look, ma'am, I don't know who impregnated you, but it was not me. He did the show because he was, and for all he knew, it was live, right? I don't know if it was live or not, but or recording. So he's like, oh, And like he had those sunglasses on, like and they darkened, like Roy Orbison freaking sunglasses, and they like totally like darkened. You could tell like with his with his mood and questioning, he's like, "Oh, well, guess, but when you're not trying, it just happens, right?" Ha 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 ha. And the eyes darken, right? So let's say that then the camera was off, and we all kind of agree that CW wasn't globally bright, right? Great mechanic, went through NASCAR mechanic school, a dedicated worker, had no criminal history whatsoever, a good kid, a good student, and a good father. And don't you frickin' Shiner say, "Oh yeah, such a good father, he strangles those kids and everything." I don't know what happened that day. I don't know. And neither do you frickin' Shiner, okay? So I'm saying he was a good father. He was a good father, okay? I don't know what happened that day. If indeed he did that day, the behavior prior to that day is not consistent with what happened, okay? Well, prior to whatever happened that day, he was a good father. He was a good daddy. Those girls loved their daddy. They had a daddy. And as I said, every little girl should have a daddy. Okay? If it's the one thing we women can do is to pick a good daddy, damn it, you've done something right. Okay? That being said, let's say the camera went off and he was like, "Okay, when? How far along are you? I don't get it." And she was good with words. She could have, I think she was fibbing about the timeline, okay? We know as a fact she had not yet received prenatal care on that particular pregnancy to the date of her death. At the date of her death, the fetus was determined to be 15 weeks, okay? I believe she did not seek prenatal care because she was fudging the dates a little bit to CW because he would know the timeline of when they did it and when they didn't. Okay? Like I say, he's not the brightest light, but he probably knows when he's dumping his seed. Oh, but they use condoms. Oh, here goes the whole theory again. Oh, man, throw the frickin' theory out. Okay, anyway. Let's say that one of them busted. Or, well, I don't know. Okay, we're going to detour on that. We're going to say that we don't know about the condoms and her showering and everything. We're going to say that there was one time when they were all randy and they copulated without the condom. Okay? He would have known when that happened because it was a very maybe a technical, I guess you'd call it. She was known to be very clean about it, showering before, showering after, using a condom. It was not just your rolling over in the sheets and, So anyway, he would have known when it happened. The ultrasound that we have been shown where she said that was from the day that it's proven that it wasn't. That ultrasound, the dates were photoshopped in whatever picture or whatever, and has proven that there was no ultrasound given. She did not go to an ultrasound. CW was not trapped at work under a tornado. He could have been, but that's not what happened. She did not go and get an ultrasound that day. She had not yet went to the doctor for prenatal care on that pregnancy. Why wouldn't she, if indeed she had lupus and fibro and celiac and Sojourns, that third pregnancy or any pregnancy would be very high risk, even given her age. At the age, she was 34. That's in today's world, people do have kids later, blah, 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 but 34 is still seen as an advanced maternal age. It's not, it's a factor. So she would have needed to have prenatal care. Okay. Why didn't she? If she was spotting and she didn't go, why didn't she? Well, one can say because she did not want a due date on that pregnancy, because even if CW was not the brightest light on the Christmas tree, he would know from her due date given by a doctor put on an actual ultrasound would not line up with when him and her had a moment together. Okay? So, put that piece there. Okay? Now put it together and say this. She was telling him what he needed to hear, to the effect that he was telling her what she needed to hear. And they both weren't getting along. That's why she bought the book, about mending the marriage, whatever. Okay, so let's say that they get in a big old fight. Let's say that her parents know that they're fighting and whatnot. Let's say they get in a big old blow them out fight. They've been fighting for a while. They were under tremendous stress that the house was going to be repossessed. They were behind in their house payment, and she had not been paying the HOA. CW was not aware of the finances. She had full and total control over all of the finances. What he was making, she was investing, funny on the word, in her MLM. That is why there was nearly $25,000 of product in that basement. That is what CW went every day to work and made a good living to buy, so that then the amount that she bought each month would give her a return check to pay for the Lexus. So let's say that she put in $2,000 a month of CW salary, and she was given this car allotment of $780 or $800. So you put in $2,000, you get $800. Wonderful math, right? But you can still say to everybody that you got an Alexis from your MLM, and you're doing the work, and you've got a downline, and you've got all that. Okay, spinning the yarn. This web is getting very, very complex. CW has no idea. She knows damn well every time she's looking in that camera talking about how her MLM is so wonderful and it gives her this quality of life, and she has her life all wonderfully down, and her kids are sleep trained, they are food trained, she's got everything down. She can have time for herself, she loves her life, and she knows damn well that she hasn't made any money, that she is moving dollar for dollar. She is panicking. She doesn't know what she's going to do, and she doesn't even think the child she's carrying is his. Let's say that. So let's say she knows the house is going to be taken away. Let's say that she knew this for a while, and her backup plan was CM. Now, CM is also in this multi-level marketing cult, and let's say that CM and her had a heck of a night when she wore that leopard dress. That leopard dress was her go-to. She had no problem saying that when she wore that leopard dress, she got what she wanted. And let's say that she was at this MLM conference, and so was CM. And let's say that they had this night in the hay. Okay? Let's say that they had the night in the hay. Let's say that the date of the pregnancy and the due date would absolutely line up to when she was at this MLM thing, and she was with CM, not CW. Let's say that that's why she didn't want to go to the doctor, because CW would know that that's not his child. Let's say that the dates would indeed prove that CM is the child. So they get in this big frickin' fight, and her parents are involved, and they're like, yeah, you can come back and stay with us until you get back on your feet. Her backup plan was to go and be with CM. This is this theory I'm giving you guys right now to see if it fits, okay? So let's say they're fighting, because the separation thing was not news to anybody, okay? NA refers to them separating in the interview with the policeman that very first day. She said apparently they were separating. She says that, okay? She says it. It's not like, oh, it's this big news or anything like that. She says it in a way that it was common knowledge that they were separating. Okay? Hold, please. Now, the second place that we hear the separation brought up is right when he confessed or took accountability, took the blame for it, whatever. And he refers to the separation to his father. His father was very much aware of the word separation. When he referred to the separation to his father, there was no question. It was not like the father was like, "What? I thought you two were doing marvelously and you're going to have my third grandbaby. What do you mean separation?" Oh no, that word separation was there. It was not the first time that he heard it. It was common knowledge. Okay? So let's say that, you know what? He wasn't the only one having an affair. Okay? Let's say that when she was going on her little MLM things, her and CM got it on. And let's say that she got pregnant. Maybe not accidentally. Okay? Let's say that she was tired of CW and thought that CM was a better prospect because with CW, he was going to find out the truth. He was going to find out that she lied about everything and put them into financial ruin and lost the house because of her need to always make appearances. If she would have continued living and the girls would be here, she would have just simply moved to North Carolina and nobody would know about this home that was foreclosed upon or anything like that. CW may or may not have went on to get married to NK. No problem, right? So put that into perspective. Put that into motion. Let's see here. Because there was some big reason why she wasn't going to the doctor. Lord knows she went to the doctor for everything and loved to go to the doctor and take the girls to the doctor, right? So why would she not be going to the doctor if she was indeed spotting? It's because she did not want the date of conception to be known to anybody until she was damn sure that her plan was above the, oh gosh, what do you say, your backup plan? I don't know. That her plan was copacetic. Her backup plan was CM. Okay. So the way that she was going is that CW either did figure out that they were in financial ruin and that they were going to lose the house, or he was going to find out. Either way, something was going to happen and there was not going to be a way to talk her way out of it. Okay? There was no way to get enough money to save the house. The $10,000 was not enough to save the house. So let's say they got in this big fight. She called her parents and said, "Daddy, come and get me." Okay? "Daddy, come and get me and the girls. We're coming home." Okay? And they're like, "Okay, what's your plan?" She's like, "I'm going to start over. I'm going to get an apartment. I'm going to do this." She's not even telling her parents the whole thing because she doesn't know if it's going to go, because CM is married. CM is married. CM has children, I believe. I heard that he has 3, right? Her plan was, fine, he isn't going to like this, but this is how I'm going to fix it, right? We heard her say that. We also heard her say, "You'll never see the girls again," right? She could no longer control CW no matter what she said. These things that she said always would stop the arguments before, but they lost footing. They lost footing. And was it because she was pregnant and he suspected that it wasn't his? And that the truth of her having an affair was going to come out? The truth of her using all of his salary to put into the basement, into MLM crap that can't be resold because you couldn't get rid of that much because of the expiration dates. It was just a freaking mess, and it was coming to a fever pitch. So let's say she calls up and says, "Daddy, come and get me." And in this fight, that was the big fight that she had with CW, she was like, "Fine, you give me the money. I'll go with and stay with my parents. And I'll get an apartment and I'll figure things out without you. And he's like, okay. Because he'd noticed this little hottie at work. You see, if you do the time frame, the 6-week affair was like when she left to North Carolina, right? She was gone in North Carolina for 6 weeks, and the affair with NK was about 6 weeks. So maybe he was kind of like looking at this hot little number. I'm not saying she's hot, but he thought she was, okay? So he's like, fine. I don't want this big ass house anywhere with the ugly ass purple dining room, weird ass colors that you did. And I'm not having fun. So fine. Go with your mommy and daddy back and I'll figure it out. He just did not like conflict. And so if it meant that that fight could be ended that night by him giving her the money that he just got out that was going to be for their new start after the house was taken, he wanted a smaller house. He wanted a little ranch house, like he said. He did not want this big house that wasn't him. He didn't want this big, beautiful house that was filled with nothing but unhappiness and lies. So he was like, fine, okay? Have your dad come and fly with you. And take the girls. We'll figure everything out later, okay? Take the money. Take the girls. Go. Well, and she goes because she's thinking, all right, I want to put the leopard dress back on and I'm going to go and work this out with CM, and me and CM are going to go and start a family of our own. And CM is going to get a divorce because he wants me and not her. And so she had her backup plan as CM. She probably left the girls with Grandma and Grandpa were loving those kids, and those girls looked healthier than they ever had. They looked like they were thriving. Oh, Jesus, I said the bad word again. Sorry. Oh, and I said the Lord's name in vain, too. So big double strike there. Bad. Sorry about that. So anyway. Daddy comes. Takes him on the airplane. Goes. She drops the kids off at the parents, and she goes to CM, and CM tells her to go fly a frickin' kite. He's like, I'm not leaving my wife. And she's like, I'm pregnant with your child. And he was probably like, ma'am, you're married. I'm married. That's not my child. That's legally CW's. Because the laws in our country don't allow for a child to be bastardized, is the term. I'm not being vulgar. If you are married, and even if your wife goes to a different man and conceives, the man that you are married to is financially responsible for that pregnancy. So legally, CW would be responsible for the pregnancy, okay? And assumed that father. You would have to, I believe now you can get DNA to undo that, but for many years that was not the case. It was like if your wife was screwing around, big deal, because you were that kid's father by the law. Oh, anyway. So she leaves the girls with her parents, and she goes out to set out to start her new life with CM. He's reluctant. She doesn't take no for an answer. We know she does not take no for an answer. She continued to not take no for an answer. She probably threatened to go to CM's wife with her pregnancy. Okay? Here we go with playing the game of Clue. Was it the butler that did it with the candlestick in the dining room? Okay, look at this. Look at this. How many people was she pissing off in a day? In a week? How many enemies did she have? How much does it cost to hire a hitman? Okay? And, yeah. So, her backup plan didn't work. And we know how she spends money, right? So where did that money go? Well, we know that a big chunk of it went to airline tickets because she had to pay for Daddy to come out, Daddy to fly back with her and the two girls. Okay, it could have been two adults and two laps, so that, you know, we could say that there was just two plane tickets there. But for Daddy to come out, plane ticket, for two adults to fly back. Well, then she flew back by herself, right? I don't think Daddy flew back, but maybe he did. Maybe he did, and he slept downstairs. So we've got to say one flight from North Carolina to Colorado, two adult airfares from Colorado to North Carolina, probably two adult airfares back to Colorado, and then Dad needing another ticket. So you're going 6 airline tickets back and forth from Colorado to North Carolina. That takes a huge chunk out of that $10,000. Okay. Now, when she was there, she goes through money like she breathes, right? Money runs out. Well, what do you know? She's got a little MLM thing she can go to anyway. And then she can plan a little getaway to go and make CW see that, you know what, they are going to get back together. So she flies back home, Daddy in tow, says, "Hey, CW, I'm back." And he's like, thought that you were going to start back over in North Carolina. And she's like, "No, we're going to work on our relationship, okay? Here's this book I want you to read, and I'm real sorry for the way that I've been being a real turd bird, so I'm sorry. I love you very much. Read this book. I'm going to go away on this little vacation, for my MLM thing, and you take the girls to the birthday party, and you do this and that, and then when I come back, we'll talk, all right?" Okay. Well, she goes on her MLM thing. Comes back that night. He can't get back together with her because he's already started something with NK. In his mind, he is done. He has moved on. He has moved on. By this time, he had the emotional divorce done in his mind and heart. In his mind, the relationship with SW was over. He had 6 weeks of no longer being controlled, emasculated, demeaned, and being complicit in the abuse of Bella and Cece every single day of his life. He was done. He was no longer under her control. Now, when that happens, when the person is no longer under control of the narcissist, this is a very dangerous time. Okay? So a very dangerous time in domestic abuse is when the woman is pregnant. I believe the chance, God, I'm sorry. I had COVID last year and I had COVID meningitis and I'm brain damaged from it. And I'm not, this is no secret. I know you guys listen to this and you're like, Lord, she's like Frosty the Snowman. She doesn't remember anything and every day is a new day. And yes, it is. So pardon me. I cannot remember this exact statistic, but go with me on this. I thought it was 1 out of 8. I think that, isn't it 1 out of 8 chances to be murdered while you're pregnant by your spousal partner when you're pregnant? Somebody will pick up on that and figure it out. Because when you are, is it that you're 8 times more likely to be a victim of domestic abuse when you're pregnant? Or something with the 8 in domestic violence and pregnancy, something like that. Okay, so she's at an increased risk for domestic violence because she's pregnant. Separation. When the separation occurs, it's like separation abuse. Oh God, here goes the brain damage again. when the separation occurs, it's this, you're so much more likely to be murdered by your spouse on the day that you try to leave or the actual separation goes. And he wouldn't have been trying to keep her there, but she could have been trying to keep him there. Okay? All of the lies, all of the pressure, they're losing the house. The illusion of this beautiful, perfect family is done. It is done over. Put a fork in it, done. Okay? Did she then go for him? And she went to go and beat the crap out of him like she had bragged about doing before? He snapped. Don't know. But I'm telling you, I think these pieces might add up. What do you think? I might just allow comments to be open to this. Is it time? Shiners, behave, because I'll give you homework. I'll give you homework, Shiners. If you start rattling off stuff on my comments, I'm going to give you homework. Because there are some things that I can't remember, so I'll have you Shiners go and do the hard work for me. I'll have you Shiners do the legwork if you want to talk smack. But I think I'm going to allow the comments for the first time on my channel. Remember, we can all agree to disagree. None of us understand what happened that day. All of us are confused and wondering what happened that day, okay? So, think about that scenario. Answer me in the comments. Could these pieces fit? Does that start to put this puzzle together? Am I totally off? What do you think? And anybody who can pop up those statistics, I'd love it, because other people will learn from this. Thank you so much for listening, and I will look forward to seeing what you say in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.